Welcome, retirees. Hello, I'm Megan, and I work with this wonderful team of retirees who are the Retiree Legacy Initiative. We have a really wonderful program planned today, and so we are glad to have everyone. We're going to put up some ground rules, and our team is going to get started, and we'll do introductions of a few folks as we go. Please keep yourselves muted. If you have any questions throughout the day today, please put them in the chat. All right, and then we have Nina is going to give us our ground rules. So Nina, if you want to tell us who you are and where you're from and share the ground rules.
I'm Nina Tribble, Local 2, United Federation of Teachers, New York. Our Retiree Legacy Initiative ground rules are as follows. We have progressive stack, show respect, actively listen, be mindful, speak the truth, be tolerant and open-minded, take care of each other, and hold each other accountable. Thank you.
Thank you, Nina. And we have Frank Roeder is going to go over with us what progressive stack is.
Okay, I'm Frank Roeder, President of the United School Employees of Pasco, Florida, AFT 3600. And basically, progressive stack is the order of speaking. Who gets to speak first, second, third, or fourth? First people who get to speak are women of color. Second group of people who get to speak are Caucasian women. Third group that gets to speak is men of color. And last but not least, the last group to get to speak is white men.
So, and yes, as the stack goes, we definitely prioritize Black, Brown, and Indigenous women in this group. And then from there, our white women and our white men. And Black and Brown men go in between there. So please keep that in mind as we go forward. But for the most part today, we're going to be on chat if you have questions. And with that, Mary Ellen and Rita, I can't see you on my screen, but I know you're there, are going to lead us in our chant. And if you could please unmute for this part, and our leads will say call and we will repeat the chant.
Okay. Okay. It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is
our duty to fight our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and support each other.
We must love and support each other.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have
nothing to lose but our chains.
All right. Now we're going to try and help everybody with the remuting process, but if you could all please remute. And from there, Jessica, if you could put the agenda back up, and we have an affirmation in just a moment, but I want to go through the agenda really quickly before we get started. Thank you. So we have an affirmation I'm going to share in just a moment, and then we'll be doing a moment of silence for all lost to violence over the last few years, over all of our lifetimes, really. And so from there, our guest son will share a poem with us, and we will read the Emancipation Proclamation and do a background. Our team will do a little bit of a background, and then our special guest speaker, Ms. Shellye Davis, will give us some words of wisdom and some history. And from there, we'll go into our reflections for the Legacy Initiative and our hopes for next year. We are just so grateful to have all of our guest speakers and all of our team members here, and for you to have joined us today. So with that, I'm going to share our affirmation, and then we're going to take a moment of reflection and a moment of silence, and we'll go from there. Jess, I think I have to share this, because you're on the other one. Here we go. Yes, okay. Here we go, it's a little big. So our affirmation, our piece of wisdom today is from Michelle Obama. And it says, what I love about Juneteenth is that even in the extended wait, we still find something to celebrate. Even though the story has never been tidy and Black folks have had to march and fight for every inch of our freedom, our story is nonetheless one of progress. And that is also the story of this team. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I think this will work. We have a candle. We're going to time ourselves and do a full minute of reflection here. So we have a candle. I'll give it a minute. All right. Thank you folks for being here, and we're going to move on with our agenda today. I'm going to do my best to keep that candle lit through this session because I feel like that's where we should be today. So from there, I am grateful and excited to introduce Sun, an activist from New Haven, Connecticut, who is now hopefully going to be working with us a little bit in the Legacy Initiative. And she's going to share a poem with us.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Again, I am Sun, native of New Haven, activist, organizer, artivist. And yeah, this piece that I'm going to share with you all today is titled Prayer Rugs. The things we pray for are actually closer than we can imagine. The best is yet to come. The beauty in prayer is better than any pageant. God gave Moses the 10 commandments and gave me sunflowers. So here's 10 reasons why you should pray until you bloom. 1, thou shalt have an amazing life. 2, trouble don't last always. 3, thou shalt have better days. 4, thou shalt pave your streets with gold. 5, thou shalt believe, breathe, and chill. 6, you shall not let folks steal your joy. 6, you shall live with integrity. 8, you shall rise from the bottle. 9, God shows up in the hood. 10, you shall live in your power. See, when I pray and I pray and I tell my story. But trust me, I don't look like what I've been through. Plus, I am more than my story. My prayers are attached to my purpose, my fears, and my dreams. Prayers have been my battle cry. I pray to rebuke the tea spillers and drinkers. I pray to a higher power, and I pray to myself too. I expose myself during my prayers. It's a sacred time to get naked. A time where I flush all the lies. Did you know that prayer was a work of art? I pray my prayers be looked at as a masterpiece. See, somebody prayed for me. They actually prayed and took the time out to pray for me. They prayed that no weapon formed against me shall prosper. Praying I see the beauty inside. Praying that I see the deity, the goddess, the empress, the royalty in my DNA. Praying that I conquer. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers do not bother me because I am praying. I am praying for a new discovery, liberation, joy, power, for everything that I deserve and that aligns with me. Praying to have a great future, trying to get my soul right, trying to close this hole. I declare and decree new energy. Sometimes I have to be rescued from myself. Creator, deliver me. I've been praying, trying to alleviate these heavy shoulders, praying till I feel my prayers moving through my bones. I pray because God don't bless no mess. Prayers and manifestations are a dynamic duo. I've been sending messages, hoping whoever is listening, remember my name, praying, trying to escape the mud, praying about the things that I have endured, praying for miracles, justice, liberty, equity, and freedom. I pray because people be testing me. I pray just to make it throughout the day, praying from dusk to dawn, lifting my voice, lifting my hands, giving honor, trying to cope and activate higher frequencies. Praying to wipe away the sorrow, praying that I see tomorrow, praying to a higher power, praying that I get a response, praying for a peaceful mind. Praying because I don't want to be plagued by demons, praying to escape genocide. I pray that I don't have to be a character or wear a mask. I pray the world can just let me be who I am and be me, unapologetically me. Praying the pain and hurt goes away. I pray for protection because there's a target on my body. I pray because there's a person in the police station praying to use my body as the target. I pray to keep the cold out. I've been trying to pray my way out of poverty. I pray because I am not bullet or human proof. Praying. And prayers have been my saving grace. I pray for all the justice, all the liberation. I pray for reparations to be sent. I pray to reach victory. I pray because I was born in this Black body. I pray to create my heaven on earth, because society already placed me in hell. I pray because I am a reflection of divine energy. My temple promotes healing and transformation. I recite affirmations to lift me, hoping I am sent revelations to understand this here life journey. I pray because I believe in me and I deserve a bountiful life. I pray my prayers keep me well. For my prayers to be a magic carpet and fly me away to create a new story, a new prayer. I pray until I'm tired, but here's the thing. I'm never tired of praying because prayer has saved me. So our Father and ancestors in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Let me shine and your will be done. Give me plenty of days to reverse the things that I have done wrong and forgive me of my trespasses. Lead me to attract the things that are good for me. Please deliver to my door an abundance of blessings. Protect me from evil, for thine is the kingdom and the power, the love and glory forever and ever. Ashe. Amen. Amen. Peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. It really hit my heart, and I hope it did yours as well. I believe that leads us to Miss Shellye. Oh no, I've missed the the agenda. We have Lila reading our Emancipation Proclamation today. Oh, thank you.
Just unmute myself. I'm Lila Mandur. I'm from Connecticut. I'm with the Retirees at Large in Connecticut. And January 1, 1863, a transcription by the President of the United States of America, a proclamation. Whereas on the 22nd day of September, in the year of our Lord, 1862, a proclamation was issued by the President of the United States, containing, among other things, the following, to wit, that on the first day of January, in the year of our Lord, 1863, all persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of a state, the people whereof shall then be in rebellion against the United States, shall be thenceforward and forever free. And the executive government of the United States, including the military and naval authority thereof, will recognize and maintain the freedom of such persons, and will do no act or acts to repress such persons, or any of them in any effort they make for their actual freedom. The executive will, on the first day of January aforesaid, by proclamation, designate states and parts of, if any, in which the people thereof respectively shall then be in rebellion against the United States. And the fact that any state or the people thereof shall on that day be in good faith represented in Congress of the United States by members chosen thereto at elections, wherein a majority of the qualified voters of such state shall have participated, shall, in the absence of strong countervailing testimony, be deemed conclusive evidence that such state, people thereof, are not then in rebellion against the United States. Now, therefore, I, Abraham Lincoln, President of the United States, by virtue of the power vested in me as Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States in time of actual armed rebellion against the authority and government of the United States, and as a fit and necessary war measure for suppressing said rebellion, due on this first day of January, in the year of our Lord, 1863, and in accordance with my purpose, so to do publicly proclaimed for the full period of 100 days from the day first above mentioned, order and designate as the states and parts of states wherein the people thereof respectively are this day in rebellion against the United States, the following to wit: Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana, except the parishes of St. Bernard, Plaquemines, Jefferson, St. John, St. Charles, St. James Assumption, Terrebonne, Lafourche, St. Mary, St. Martin, and Orleans, include the city of New Orleans, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia, except the 48 counties designated as West Virginia, and also the counties of Berkeley, Accomack, Northampton, Elizabeth City, York, Princess Anne, and Norfolk, including the cities of Norfolk and Portsmouth, and which accepted parts are for the present left precisely as if the proclamation were not issued. And by virtue of the power and for the purpose aforesaid, I do order and declare that all persons held as slaves within said designated states and parts of states are and henceforward shall be free, and that the executive government of the United States, including the military and naval authorities thereof, will recognize and maintain the freedom of said persons. And I hereby enjoin upon the people so declared to be free to abstain from violence, unless in necessary self-defense. And I recommend to them that in all cases when allowed, they labor faithfully for reasonable wages. And I further declare and make known that such persons of suitable condition will be received into the armed service of the United States to garrison forts, positions, stations, and other places, and to man vessels of all sorts in said service. And upon this act, sincerely believed to be an act of justice, warranted by the Constitution upon military necessity, I invoke the considerate judgment of mankind and the gracious favor of Almighty God. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the United States to be affixed. Done in the city of Washington, this first day of January, in the year of our Lord, 1863, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 87th, by the President Abraham Lincoln, William H. Seward, Secretary of State. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lila. And then Charlie is going to give us a little bit of history here.
Hi, I'm Charlie Peterson from the San Antonio AFT Retirees Plus. To understand the brilliance of the Emancipation Proclamation, we need to understand and to teach the honest history of the United States at the time of its writing. The Emancipation Proclamation was shaped by that history. 10 years before the election of Abraham Lincoln and the beginning of the Civil War, the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 was passed. It replaced the Fugitive Slave Act of 1793. The need for this act goes against the then current myth of a happy slave. There are still many Americans who believe that myth. The numbers of successful escapes from slavery were growing each year. Officials who did not arrest people suspected of escaping enslavement were punished. Accused fugitives were denied habeas corpus. No jury trial was permitted, and the alleged fugitive could not testify. In 1857, the Supreme Court made a ruling in the Dred Scott v. Sanford case. Chief Justice Roger Taney's ruling held that the United States was not meant to include American citizenship for people of African descent, regardless of whether they were enslaved or were free. So the rights and privileges that the Constitution confers upon American citizens would not apply to them. He also struck down the Missouri Compromise, declaring it unconstitutional. The 13th and 14th Amendments overturned Dred. Abraham Lincoln was elected president in 1860. Several southern states had already been making plans to secede from the United States. While he was being sworn in as president, he was faced with the disintegration of the Union. He made the decision that the primary goal was the preservation of the Republic. If he could save the Union and free the enslaved people, he would. But if he could only save the Union without freeing the enslaved people, he would. The northern states were not a hotbed of abolition. As the death toll kept mounting and increasing, the American families became increasingly war weary. England, whose textile industry was hungry for King Cotton, and they were considering recognizing the Confederacy. The foundation of England's empire was financed by their slave industry. Even though they had abolished slavery before the beginning of our Civil War, they had no problems with supporting the Confederacy if the United States was not going to abolish slavery. To justify the deaths of so many Americans, Lincoln decided that the war needed a moral goal. Former enslaved men would become a much needed source of soldiers. Lincoln could not legally free all enslaved people by presidential proclamation. So he used his war powers as commander-in-chief to free all enslaved people in states still in open rebellion. There was also two practical reasons not to free all enslaved people. Border states might then secede. If Maryland seceded, the Confederacy would surround Washington, D.C. Also, the proclamation would end up in the Supreme Court. Roger Taney was still Chief Justice. The myths of the glorious and noble South, the lost cause, and happy slaves started to grow. Now slavery itself is being whitewashed out, pun intended. When mythology becomes law, democracy dies. Please support the teaching of honest history. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. And with that, it is my joy and pleasure to introduce you to Ms. Shellye Davis.
Thank you, Megan. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is well. It's good to see you all. I'm Shellye Davis, and I started from AFT Connecticut Local 2221. I want to talk about what is Juneteenth. Many Americans are curious, and some misunderstand what the latest federal recognized national holiday, Juneteenth, is all about. I will provide an abbreviated explanation and for some clarification of the oldest known continuously celebrated holiday of emancipation in the United States. Retired paraeducator and State Labor Council Delegate Marie Rogers has written over 35 books for young people of all ages. Her book, Juneteenth, is the one that I will use to explain some facts in history about June 19th, 1865. Juneteenth celebrates the reading of General Order Number 3 on Galveston Island, Texas, by General Gordon Granger of the Union Army. He was accompanied by 2,000 Black soldiers assigned to maintain order and prevent resistance by enslaved. Once 250,000 enslaved men, women, and children were informed of their freedom from bondage in Texas. The Emancipation Proclamation issued on January 1st, 1863, was ignored by enslaved in the state. After the surrender of General Robert E. Lee to General Ulysses S. Grant at the courthouse on April 9th, 1865, many Texans continued to fight. The last battle of the Civil War was fought on Palmitico Ranch in Texas, 34 days after the Civil War had officially ended. 9 regiments of Black soldiers protected their people during this chaotic time. In 2020, the National Archives of Washington, D.C. located the original handwritten General Order Number 3. It was displayed for public viewing at the National African American Museum in Washington, D.C. Juneteenth is a joyous family, church, and community-oriented holiday. The official colors of Juneteenth are red, white, and blue. These colors are represented in the official flag. The white stars represent Texas. The birth represents a new beginning and the end of enslavement. The arc represents new opportunities. The red, white, and blue colors represent the American flag. The Juneteenth flag was created by Black native Texan Ben Heath, and Juneteenth is not a commercial holiday. Juneteenth became an official state holiday in Texas on January 1st, 1980. Black American Texas State Representative Al Edwards was responsible for making Juneteenth an official state paid holiday in Texas. And many rights were gained on June 19th, 1865 in Texas. Black Texans could actually gather in groups larger than 3 without being arrested. They could marry the person of their own choosing and name their own children. Women could dress and style their hair as they pleased, and they could open their own schools to educate their children. They could actually own property and land. For many Black Americans, Texans, and non-Texans, Juneteenth holds a special meaning and connection. Once freed, Texans built communities, educational institutions. They became ranchers, landowners, educators, professionals of every strata, and continue to do so under the yoke of the present day adversary. The spirit of Barbara Jordan and Mickey Landling lives on today in proud sons and daughters of the Lone Star State. The new national holiday is a perfect way to honor their tenacity, spirit, and thousands of Black soldiers who helped make Juneteenth a reality. On May 27, 2020, our governor here, Ned Lamont, signed into Public Act 22-128, which establishes a new legal state holiday, Juneteenth, Independence Day. So for people from Texas and people of color who have this painful history, I leave you with what Maya Angelou has always said: we continue to rise. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for joining us today, Ms. Shellye. With that, we have some history that we want to share with any of you who haven't been part of our Retiree Legacy Initiative events in the past. Some of you may have seen this, but hopefully you'll see this and kind of get a picture of where we started. And then our team will give some reflections on where we intend to go and grow.
I'm thinking that that's what we're gonna get a lot of as we start our conversations. I didn't know. You don't know because you haven't experienced it. And if it's not affecting you, then you don't notice it.
They don't really understand that we've been chastised all of our lives for the color of our skin, which we can't help.
Whatever gain you think are you trying to make, there's somebody trying to create another way to reverse that situation.
I'm the president of FEA Retired, and I have been told from day one not to bring race into this, but I'm going to bring race into it.
We can bring up the inequities, but if they're not feeling it or seeing it or been through it, are they going to understand? They know. They've just never had to experience it.
But they're not in our shoes.
They need to know what we've gone through. They need to know what our ancestors before us went through. We're gonna all find out some things that we may not have wanted to know.
They're seeing racial injustice. It's rearing its ugly head again, but then again, I also feel it never went away. It's like you have 1 foot forward and 3 steps back, but you're doing a cha-cha, but we've got to continue doing that dance so we can complete it.
Sometimes it takes courage, and sometimes you have to have the strength to fight. You have to get mentally prepared to go into that fight. And sometimes you might just be too tired or too worn down or too beaten, because you cannot win a battle unless you're mentally prepared to go in for that fight.
I will never ever forget a social studies teacher that I had in 9th grade who wanted to know why they put so many of us in one class. He decided one day he wanted us to tell about our ancestors. When he got to me, he said, "Oh, we know who your ancestors are. We'll skip over you." When we had tests, and I had some friends who were Caucasian in school, she would have more wrong on her test paper than I did. She'd have a B, and I would have a C.
I went to an elementary school, but I got bused there. And I had to walk forever to go to my high school. It's just now that I realize I was part of a friggin' social project. I remember getting the interview and I walked in and it was these white gentlemen and me. I was qualified, but I had to sit outside the room. What are we gonna do? She's black. We gotta hire her. She's black. We gotta hire her. We're gonna get sued. We gotta hire her. And then I taught in that town and some of the kids came up to me and went like this. It doesn't come off. They thought I was dirty. My hair, well, I had a fro. They felt it. It's not Brillo. I was the only black in their town.
We had a record of 35 minority teachers out of a faculty of 250. So that was like an all-time high in that school. All of the jobs in the city of Chicago were controlled by what was called the machine. This oral interview was a way of controlling, because even if you had all the other credentials, you got the degree and everything, they could nix you on the oral interview. So in the interview, they asked me the question about, well, how would you feel about teaching at a predominantly white school? And I said, well, I was kind of thinking that, I go back to a school like the school I graduated from. And a lady grabbed me and pulled me out in the hall. And she said, "You went to Knox College. Would you really be against teaching at a predominantly white school?" I said, well, not totally. And so I went back in there and changed the answer to the question and I passed the oral exam.
Do speak up, and we're still not heard.
If the white people said to us, "What do you want from us?"
equal justice. But I don't back away. I guess I'm too old to back away. I don't like to sit and do nothing. That's when I joined the Army. So the second time I went in as an officer. In the beginning, I was kind of quiet. But then again, I started saying to myself, well, what are you doing? It's your life. So I started stepping in the mud and got deep, but I didn't stop. You know, I believe if you fall, get up. I don't take my race as a setback for me. If I can move forward and do the best I can do, and I can get something done, I learned how to keep going and not give up. And I think that's what we all need to do.
The reason I got into the union business was that was the only support system. And that was probably the only system that crossed race.
I started teaching in 1978, and I teach Black history every day of the year to make sure I intertwine Black history into whatever lesson I was teaching. As long as there was breath in my body, I was going to do it.
Well, they should know their history, the people who paved the way for us to be able to vote and to get on a bus. And I want them to know how many people died in order to vote.
I think we all need to listen to each other. There needs to be a conversation in the room. Until that happens, I don't see anything getting any better.
How can we work together to spread the message and get it across?
We have to learn respect for one another as well.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love and protect one another. We have nothing to lose but our change.
So get out to vote.
This is an uprising.
So that is just as powerful today as it was the day we did it. And I am so immensely proud of this team. We have grown, we have learned. You have stuck by this work, even at times where it is extremely hard to have the honest and difficult conversations. And with that, it is my pleasure to start introducing you to our Retiree Legacy Initiative team. Each member of our team has been asked to come up with 1 to 2 sentences about their reflections on the work we've done. And so I will begin to call on our team members in no particular order, aside from maybe a little bit of progressive stack, to give us a little bit of their reflections on the work we've done over the last year and over the last 2 years since we began with that first conversation, which is what this clip was pulled from. So with that, I'd like to start. I'm going to go through the room with who I see first, and I see Nina, and then Rita, and then Janice. So that'll be our first folks. Nina, if you would tell us a little bit about who you are and what this work means to you.
Nina Tribble, Local 2 United Federation of Teachers. That clip that you saw was 44 years ago. What I did not mention, my maiden name is McGee. So in that town, they were not expecting me. I've come a long way from being in this group, from teaching in that all-white town. And I really feel that even what's going on now, I know that we've missed the January 6th hearings, but thank you for being here with us for this, because that is also something that when I said reared its ugly head, unfortunately, we still have to deal with what's going on. But our committee is here to focus on what should be taught, which we believe is honest history, what we should do, which is, as it was mentioned, vote. And I'll leave it with someone else, because you can't change anything if you're not in it. You got to be in it to win it. It's like lotto.
Thank you, Nina. Go on, Ms. Rita.
Okay, I'm Rita Ronalds, and I'm Texas AFT Retiree Plus. And this group to me is awareness. It's awareness, it's education, and it's love. Love is taught. And I think that's the biggest thing we need to do among ourselves nowadays, in lieu of all what's going on in the world, is we have to go back and teach how to love one another, no matter where we're from, what we look like, and who our parents are. It's all for parents. It's all about who you are today and who do you care for. It's about thinking of others before you think of yourself. So think how someone else is being treated, or how based on, like our foreparents, how they were treated. And I say more so awareness because I live in Texas, but I was actually born in Georgia. My mother's from Columbus, Georgia. So I had no idea about Juneteenth because my mom didn't teach that because she wasn't from Texas. My daddy was from Texas. And by him being a proud Texan, he had to sit and teach us when he came in from work. Because, you know, your mom did all the teaching. She was a stay-at-home mom with us before she started teaching. And so she did all the teaching. So he had to sit us down and tell us girls, what is Juneteenth? And what does that mean for Texans? So awareness. We have to make others aware of what was done to us.
I think we've lost Rita. There we go.
Okay.
Thank you, Rita. I have Janice.
Good afternoon. My name is Janice Poirier. I am the president of Florida Education Association, retired. I taught school for 38 years, and this group is a godsend to me. I can share my stories with other people of color. I don't have to listen to someone telling me, well, you can't say that because you're going to hurt somebody's feelings. And if I'm not in this group, that is what I still hear to this day. So I enjoy being in this group. I hope to continue being in this group so I can share with other people who look like me. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. Ms. Vanessa.
Good evening. I'm Vanessa Tillman. I am a former local 3616 AFT member of this team. This really has been giving me a determination. And what I say to people oftentimes, if you're not at the dinner table, you're on the menu. So you got to be present. You got to stay woke. And for me, this is as being, we are all of our brothers' keepers. It takes us all working together to make a difference. We may get tired from time to time, but like mother to son, we're gonna keep on getting up because you find it kind of easy. Just keep on, because it's a rough road, but we can do it together. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Oh, I'm from Florida. Sorry. The
Thank
Sunshine
you.
State.
And then I have Ms. Marilyn. There you are. You're muted.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm doing double duty at my other computer and at this computer. So you want me to introduce myself? Is that what?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm Marilyn Flowers Marion. I'm in Boston. I'm the president of the Retired Teachers Chapter of the Boston Teachers Union, and also president of the Massachusetts Alliance for Retired Americans. So I don't know what else to add other than this is a great opportunity to talk about Juneteenth. So because it came to me very late in terms of celebration of Juneteenth in Boston and Massachusetts. So we do have a celebration every year. There's one that's coming up this Saturday in Boston. And so they've been celebrating for, I guess, the last 15 years or so, which is super great. Unfortunately, I'm going to be in DC this coming weekend. However, I'll be part of the ARA Poor Persons March. So that's equally as important. So glad to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Marilyn. I have Howard next. Howard Heath.
I'm supposed to unmute, I suppose.
Yes, please.
Well, this group has been quite an experience, and what I often find myself trying to do is help other people get involved in things that they would normally. So I was involved in the Web GPO this year, along with another member of the PPC. And, you know, Social Security is just another access to wealth. I mean, it's money. And, you know, one of the problems in our community is that we don't have a gathering of institutional wealth. And this Web GPO affects, I think 85% of the people affected are women. I don't know what percentage are Black and brown women, but I'm sure there are quite a few. And when I went to this rally, I think there were just a couple of minorities there. And we need to learn about things that affect our wealth and our access to institutional wealth. And so that's my latest project with the group. Thank you.
Thank you,
By the way,
Howard.
I'm from Chicago.
Yes, thank you, Howard. And then I have Ulysses. There you go.
Hello there. I'm Ulysses Floyd. I guess I'm the old man of the group. I'm from Orange County, Florida, Orlando. I started teaching in 1958, so I went through a lot of things during that time. When I was in service, I was in service in 1953. When I was in Germany, at that time, the army was all desegregated because Truman did that, I think, back in the 50s or late 40s. I have a chance to teach both Black and white kids. When I got out of the army and came into teaching, it was a different thing in Florida. There was segregated schools in Florida. We didn't begin to integrate the schools until around in the middle 60s. But I had a upstart on a lot of the teachers because I had already taught white kids in the service. So I had no problem teaching, and they had no problem with me. But I do say this, and I just want to get the point from it. This committee is a godsend because it gave us a chance to talk about what we have done and to reflect on those who have never done these things before. So thank you, Megan, for putting me on this committee.
Thanks, Ulysses. We're glad to have you. And then I have Lila.
Hi, I'm Lila Mandur. Again, I'm still from Connecticut. And what everybody said has just been real interesting for me. It has been educational. It's been a great education. It's acceptance, and I really appreciate that. And it's been a way for me to learn and to be able to be an ally, and I hope to just expound on that and touch as many lives as I can in that regard. And I really appreciate being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Lila. And I have Mary Ellen.
Okay. Hi, I'm Mary Ellen Kerwin. I'm from Florida Education Association, retired. And I just have to tell, first of all, the members of the group, Legacy, thank you for all that you have taught me. And I'm going to cry, sorry. But this group has given me an education, you know, about the history, about their experiences, and, you know, and I've forced me to read more, you know, that honest history we never were taught, and that we are learning about now, and hopefully we'll be able to do that. So I hope it's made me a better ally, and I feel more powerful to speak up when I see things that are wrong. So thank you all.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. Frank?
I was very flattered when Janice Poirier asked me to become part of this as an ally, because I've been fighting for social justice my entire life. And I taught in the middle school, and we had some problems, racial issues at the school, and I helped form the United Colors, which was a group that accepted everybody, and we had some special training. And within 3 years, the club had 125 members. It was the biggest club in the school, and it made a difference. And there was an offshoot of United Colors at a couple of high schools close by, and it got going and kept gaining steam, and it really brought people together. I was also co-chair of Listen Tampa Bay, which is Gay, Lesbian, Straight Education Network, and I was co-chair for 15 years and helped start a lot of the gay straight alliances in schools and got involved in all kinds of stuff like that. I also served on the City of Tampa's Human Rights Board, and now I'm on Hillsborough County's Human Relations Board. And I'm proud to say that I also produced a newsletter called EDSI for the Florida Education Association Retired, and EDSI stands for Educators Against Discrimination and Social Injustice. And it started off as a 6-page newsletter. It was supposed to come out 4 times a year. It is now a monthly newsletter of about 23 pages. Unfortunately, I find information over and over and over again, even when I'm not even looking for it, because there's so much stuff out there. I am so proud to be a part of this. I've learned so much, and I feel acceptance, and I feel empowered, and I think we are making a difference, one person at a time.
Thank you, Frank. And I believe this is our last, but not by any means our least, Charlie.
Hi, I'm Charlie Peterson from San Antonio, AFT Retirees. And as you can see, my cat, Striker, is really enjoying it. Next to me is my wife, Maria, whose job is to wrangle the cat, and you can tell how good a job she's doing. But what I enjoy about this group is listening to people's personal stories. One, they're incredibly interesting, but also even more important, you learn other people's experiences and share them. So I guess it's the old Girl Scout thing, which my daughter went through, sharing and caring. It's just really important. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Charlie. All right, I don't believe I've missed anyone. If I have, please let me know, team. But with that, we have a couple of chants we'd like to close out on today, and I am very, very excited. I'm going to take just a moment of privilege and share. Tony, did you want to say something?
Yes, I just wanted to thank whoever it was inviting me to this group. I really appreciate it. I'm learning a lot. I'm with the Alliance AFT in Dallas, and I've been teaching for a number of years. I started teaching in Detroit, and right after the riots, there was a big push for African-American studies. And I taught African-American literature and history at Pershing High School in Detroit for a number of years. And part of my compendium were a book called Black Voices by Chapman, and also Before the Mayflower by Lerone Bennett Jr., which he talks about 1619. So I knew we've been knowing about 1619 since the 60s. So it's been a pleasure being a part of this group. I also wanted to let you know that in 2017, I made a board presentation to establish an ethnic studies program for the state of Texas. And I talked about the problem of race in the country, and how whenever we have one of those terrible incidences and everything, we get excited, we start talking, we need to have that difficult conversation, that uncomfortable conversation, but in a few weeks it's over with. And so I thought perhaps the best way to resolve those things is through education. Just like Frederick Douglass said 150 years ago, that the problem of race in America would not reach its full potential as a great nation until the race problem was resolved. And that was done. He gave a speech in Washington, 1870, and this is what he said. Here we are 150 years later, dealing with the same problem. And I think so it's really mainly, I think, a problem of education. We have to tell the true history of America. And I think if we start telling the true history of America, we can see the humanity in all of us and be accepted. And, it's just one of the lines I used there was, we must come together to tell the true stories of overcoming this plight of oppression. We must tell our children the many stories of courage and heroism, of perseverance and will that has led African Americans from the prisons on the shores of West Africa to the Oval Office of the White House in America. It is a story that has the potential to inspire our children and to give them hope. And I think being a part of this group is going to further that hope. Thanks a lot for inviting me.
Thank you so much for that, Tony. I think that really fully leads us into our next piece. And as I said, we're gonna do a couple of chants here, and from there we will close out for the day. But I want to take a moment of privilege here as someone who has worked with these wonderful humans for the last 2 years. I have learned so much from working with all of you. It has truly been a privilege and will continue to be so. The growth that I have seen from members of this team is absolutely inspirational. And it has been a long 2 years in COVID trying to keep, this program going. And so this team at times has been one of the silver linings on rough days. And the planning and strategizing and the dedication that these team members have when I say I've got homework for you and they do it. When I say we're going to have a hard conversation today, please be kind to each other. Please reach out to me afterwards if you have an issue. As a team, you have all shown me that retirees truly don't quit. And so I am just ever grateful for the work that each and every one of you as members put in and make this program possible. It would not be possible without each and every one of you. And so I just wanted to take that moment and say that out loud in front of all these folks, right? Because you have done amazing work in a great time of pain and suffering in this country. And you have really shared that work with people outside of this space, right? You share it with your grandkids, you share it with your friends, you share it with your fellow unionists when you go back to meetings, and it shows. It shows in a million different tiny ways that make a huge difference. So I just want to say that thank you. And with that, I would love and am excited to share a favorite chant of mine. And so I will ask anyone who's comfortable to unmute. Someday, it is my great hope that we are able to do this all in person, but this is a chant that's close to my heart. And so I'll lead, and if anyone wants to call it with me, they're welcome to. But I'm going to say it, and you're going to repeat it. And we'll do it gently because we're on Zoom and we don't want to ruin anything. But the first line is power.
Power.
Transformation.
Transformation.
Miracles.
Miracles.
I want it.
I want it.
I need it.
I need it.
I got to have it.
I got to have it.
All right, one more time with a little more energy, right, guys? We got it now.
Okay.
Power. Transformation. Miracles. I want it.
I want it.
I need it.
I need it.
I got to have it.
I got to have it.
Thank you, please. So one of my pieces of homework for you today is to take that with you and learn it this summer, because we're going to do it in person next year.
Megan, Megan.
Yes, Ulysses?
I just want to thank you for everything you have done. And I'm hope I'm speaking for everybody on the committee. You have been a savior to us. You have kept us together when we were strained. I was coming in late because I was in the barbershop. Guess what? My president from Janice said, Floyd, are you going to be on that? I said, well, in the barbershop. I jumped out of the barbershop and here I am. So I enjoy everything you did today. Thank you for being our friend.
Thank you.
Agreed. Ditto. Ditto.
Thank you for everything, Megan.
Thank you all. You truly are my motivation every day. I do this work. I work for all of you. And so I am glad to do that every day. Frank, I see your hand up. And then I'm not sure who wants to close us out, but we are team, you know what we want to do when we close out our closeout chant. And we have one more before that. So we're going to finish our day with some strong chants.
Right.
Frank, you want to go ahead before we do that?
Yeah, I just want to let everybody know on last Saturday, I went to the March for Our Lives in Tampa, and it probably had a couple thousand people there, but I was so empowered by the kids that were there that led it. And it really made me feel that there is hope in the future, because those kids are taking it to their hearts and they are marching for their lives and trying to make a difference. And to see them in action was very, very powerful for me. And I probably got the guts to go because of this group here. They kind of pushed me on. I went to a couple of George Floyd protests. I would have never done that except for this group. It's turned me into an activist. It brings me back to the 70s and anti-war demonstrations. So it's been fun, but I just want to let everybody know about that.
Thanks, Frank. I'm very glad for that. All right, I have one other chant that I'm going to do before our team takes us out on our traditional chant. And this is a favorite of mine as a program. This isn't specific to this team, but this is specific to the retiree program here at AFT. Someday we're going to trademark it. So I will call this, Nina, if you'd like to help me, you can as well. So this one is, I'm going to call it, and then you repeat just like before. Ain't no power.
Ain't no power.
Like retiree power.
Like retiree power.
Because retiree power.
Because retiree power.
Don't stop.
Don't stop.
All right, one more time, just for the feel. Ain't no power.
Ain't no power.
Like retiree power.
Like retiree power.
Because retiree power.
Because retiree power.
Don't stop.
Don't stop.
All right. Once we get that down, I'm going to add to it. But this year, that's where we're at. So if y'all can try and remember these chants, when we get in person, we're going to do them.
All right.
And with that, Legacy team, will you all help us lead these folks out on our chant today?
Yes.
Sure. All right. So it is our duty to fight
for freedom.
It
is our duty to fight for freedom.
It is our
duty
to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love
and protect each other.
We must love.
We have nothing to lose but our change.
Nothing to lose but our change.
All right.
That was mixed up. It was beautiful.
We're all here together though, and that's what counts.
I could understand it.
Okay, great, everybody.
Thank
you so much, team.